course, I forget to put my mic on. Okay, now my mic is on. Hello. So, if you tuned into the stream or you're seeing a stream that I streamed earlier today, I attempted to go to World 204 or unlock World 204 by myself, and I also tried to do World 204 in a group. Needless to say, both of those attempts did not work, and then subsequently on my last stream I got kicked, and then which led to a lock on the account for a few minutes before I was able to log back in. So, as the description says in this stream, it's gonna be a theory craft on a build that I am gonna be effectively naming the Shadow Blizzard Boner. You reap what you sow, Blizzard, on what you reap what you sow in forcing me to call it this build based on your RNG that you happen to force upon me. First off, gonna go over gear. Currently my helmet, I have for the aspect, I have skills grant 20% damage reduction for 4 seconds. For my chest piece, I found a aspect with which I imprinted on a rare piece of armor that I found that was useful to me. The imprinted aspect gives me every 10 seconds my cold skeleton mages cast Blizzard that deals 681 cold damage and continuously chills enemies for 8% over 6 seconds. Next off, gloves. During one of my nightmare runs, I've got this glove to drop Howl from below, Sacred Unique gloves. The aspect on it is instead of detonating immediately, Corpse Explosion summons a volatile skeleton that charges at a random enemy and explodes. Corpse Explosion's damage is increased by 32%. Moving on. Pants. Still using the same pants I used in the live stream that I did earlier today. Each time the Bone Storm damages an enemy, gain a barrier equal to 2% of your base life for 10 seconds. Boots. Still the same boots I was using during the stream. My maximum number of skeleton warriors is increased by 2. For my weapon, this dropped for me during one of my nightmare runs. The aspect on it is your darkness skills chills enemies for up to 40%. This is the Bloodless Scream two-handed scythe. Lucky hit, your darkness skills have up to 100% chance to generate 5 additional essence against frozen targets. It came with 2 sockets, so I gave out 2 emeralds to increase my crit damage against vulnerable enemies, since I'll be freezing enemies a lot. Or attempting to, anyway. For my amulet, nothing special. Right now, the aspect I have it is becoming injured while crowd controlled grants you unstoppable for 4 seconds. This effect has a 19-second cooldown. For my other ring, still the same basic ring. Basic skills gain 23% attack speed. For my other ring, I imprinted critical strikes from Sever have a 10% chance to spawn a pool of blight under the target that deals 20% bonus damage. This effect can only happen once every 3 seconds. I think you're probably getting the idea why I named it the Frozen Shadow Boner build. On to my skills. For survivability, I'm using Hemorrhage along with Enhanced Hemorrhage along with Initiate Hemorrhage. This is just so that I have a way of recovering health and fortify. For next branch, I'm using Hued Flesh, so that when I'm fighting a boss and I'm having trouble getting a corpse generated, this gives me a chance to generate a corpse on a lucky hit. The main skill I'm using here is Sever. I have it maxed out, along with Enhanced Sever. Right here, I'm only using Supernatural Sever because I am using a minion build. If I was not using a minion build, I'd probably switch it to Paranormal Sever instead. No other skill points used here, so I'm moving on. Right here, because there's a chance that enemies are trying to hit me, I want to hit them back even though I'm not directly dealing damage, so I put 3 points into Thorns for Spike Armor. Onto actual skill I'm using right now, Corpse Explosion along with Enhanced Corpse Explosion along with Blighted Corpse Explosion. So basically, instead of the corpse exploding, it becomes a darkness skill. I believe it will still have the skeleton that will spawn, that will explode on the enemy and still have increased corpse explosion damage. I'm not exactly too sure yet how that works. Maybe if there's another video out there that compares these two damages, that can help out greatly. The reason why it's at rank 7 is because of the gear I'm equipped with. One of the gear pieces I'm equipped with. For curses, I'm using Iron Maiden with Absorbent Iron Maiden, just to reduce the amount of mana I have to use in order while I'm in a fight. I'm also using amp damage so that at the same time when I curse enemies, I can deal extra damage. Right now, I also have points into Death's Embrace and Death's Reach. I probably will change that down the line, but for now it's working for me for my current setup. Close enemies take 6% more damage, and I have damage reduction on close enemies, and distant enemies I can deal right now because of skills. I deal 12% increased damage to distant enemies. I'm using Skeletal Mage Mastery so that my mage skeletons my mage skeletons can do increased damage. The extra point I spent on was Gruesome Mending, so that if my life is below 50%, I will receive 10% more health from all resources. Kind of help for survivability. Necrotic Carpus. When a corpse is formed from your skills or your minions, you fortify for 2% base of your life, so kind of help with the fortify. Reaper's Pursuit, I put 1 point into there so that I have a little bit of mobility, and then 2 points into Gloom so that increase shadow damage from my darkness skills. Moving on, I have 1 point into Inspiring Leader. Most times for my playstyle, I'm very close to my skeletons, so that's why I have 1 point into Inspiring Leader. And as I just mentioned, because I'm usually close to my skeletons whenever, for my playstyle, I have Hellbent Commander maxed out so that my minions have 30% increased damage when I'm closer to them. One extra point I have is put into Bonded Essence so that they have a little bit extra healing. For the ultimate attack, I'm using Bone Storm along with Supreme Bone Storm. I'm using this primarily because of my gear. Whenever I cast Bone Storm, I'll have a barrier up. And because most of my attacks are Shadow, I took Shadow Blight. Shadow Blight's damage affects enemies with Shadow Blight for 2 seconds. You and your minions deal 10% bonus damage to enemies with Shadow Blight. Every 10th time an enemy receives shadow damage from you or your minions while they are affected by Shadow Blight, they take an additional 834 damage shadow damage. Alright, for Book of the Dead, For skeleton warriors, I'm using Defender, and I'm using the Thorns Defenders just so that they can take advantage of my Thorns attribute that I used earlier that I mentioned. Skeletal mages, I have the option of I have two different options. One, right now, because of my current setup, I'm using ice mages along with the upgrade that makes it so that enemies that are frozen by or damaged while frozen by cold mages primary attacks are made vulnerable for 4 seconds, so to help increase my damage. My other option is using shadow mages if I was not using the ice. If I wasn't using that piece of armor that gives my ice mage the ability to cast Blizzard. Shadow mages attack with 10% chance to stun, so that could also make them crowd control play the effect, or I can have them fire an extra bolt. Personally, if I was going shadow, I probably would choose the chance to stun. For my golem, I have it as sacrificed because somehow with this setup I had to fit all the skills I'm using right now, so I sacrificed golem, so I have 30% increased in critical strike damage at the cost of not being able to summon a golem. For my paragon, if you watched the stream earlier today, it's mostly similar to that stream. The only things I will make changes is that right now I'm using the Death Razor glyph socket. Paragon nodes within the range gain 24% bonus of their minion damage and damage reduction modifiers. Whenever your minions deal damage to an enemy, that enemy takes 1% increased damage from you and your minions, up to 12% for 10 seconds. And it cost me 40 intelligence to activate. I may switch the glyphs around, but right now it's there just so that I have the bonuses in the first place, and I'm still in the process of upgrading my glyphs. For the board that I chose, it's still the same as the stream. I chose Cult Leader so that my minions deal 15% increased damage for each minion type I have. I've still not met the requirement for the rare node armor clad for the bonus, but I took it anyway. The next board I chose is still the same as last time, Scent of Death. When 2 corpses are nearby, you have 15% damage reduction. With no corpses nearby, you have 15% increased damage. Still rocking that. Right now, the other glyph I'm using is Revenge because of Thorns. Thorns damage is increased to all damage to enemies that takes from you and your minions by 1% up to 10% for 10 seconds. Grants 30% bonus to all rare nodes within range. So any rare nodes I have, they're going to receive a bonus. So armor is going to receive a bonus, magic node is going to receive a bonus. That magic node is going to receive a bonus. That one's going to receive a bonus. If I decide to use points at that, we'll see what happens for now. For now, this is my current setup, and right now I'm about to run pretty much the Nightmare Dungeons I've been doing. I've just taken it as ease. I'm starting with the lowest tier and making my way up to testing up to the higher tiers I have. I have 2 tier 16 keys, only because I joined someone randomly, and then later on I added that person as a friend because they sent a friend request. So I'm working my way up, and right now I'm going to do a bunch of gameplay to show, to test my build to see how it works. So sit back and enjoy the gameplay of this stream, as I use a ton of nightmare keys to test this build to see how it works as I go up in difficulty. And also, by the way, I'm not grinding any of the nightmare sigils. I'm using every single one just because of the situation I ran into when dealing with trying to unlock tier 4. So anything I encounter in a nightmare, if I can handle it up to the highest nightmare sigil I have, I'm pretty sure I'll be ready to unlock tier 4. So sit back and enjoy and watch me fail or succeed during this trialing error. Once again, this build, I have deemed it called the Frozen Shadow Boner.
My savior. threads were cut down. I won't last on my own.
You there, barbarian.
spot's still got some good in it.
One thing I want to interject before I continue with this video / stream or whatever. If I feel like I used a pylon and cheesed it kind of like how I just did on the last run, I will run the same tier again just to be fluid. And we'll keep doing that until I'm pretty sure that most of, if I was using a pylon, is based off of my own skills instead of using that spark ability or artillery pylon. If those are the cases of what's going on. So, just so you know, if I'm using a key twice, that's the reason. If I'm using an artillery pylon or that one pylon that turns me into a sparkling ball, I rerun that tier until I don't run into that pylon so that I get a better feel to see if I think it's going to hold up to that tier difficulty. Anyway, I'm going to mute my mic and we can continue watching on. I just want to interject for that specific event. That's the closest I ever gotten during a nightmare run of one of these that I got to completing a 5 out of 6 or 4 out of 5, whatever it was. In the past, I've never been able to get past to break at least one hive before it exploded. timestamp. If someone could actually pause at the time that I used that potion, which potion I actually used, that'd be awesome to timestamp what I used at the time. Can manage to pause it fast. I know it kind of went kind of quick because I was trying to pick up the sequel. I don't know which one I actually used that only had 2 of those elixirs. So, for me to use, if you see this stream, please timestamp where the time that I used that potion and what potion I actually used. No need to timestamp that one. I went slow enough to actually read out which one I actually used. It was actually an elixir of life, I believe it was. Keep in mind, if I'm sorry, I accidentally paused myself, or muted my mic. My tone right now is, the way that I'm talking right now is not my normal tone. It's only because I've been having weird sleep lately this past weekend, and it's actually a long weekend for me in my case. Ordinarily, I would not be doing a video today, but because I have time off today, I can do what I'm doing right now. No need to timestamp that one either. I was actually paying attention to that one. I was just an elixir to have some resistance against skeletons, vampires, and one other enemy. But also, any of the elixirs I've been using also grant an experience boost for a short time. I don't think they stack, so if I am wrong, let me know.
You can take what's left. Anything breaks, the forge is hot.
So the extra copy of the scythe that I just got from that last run, or 2 runs ago, whichever the case it is, I'm just gonna give that to my alternate necromancer for now. My alternate necromancer that I'm working on is actually one that is a different, completely separate build I was actually trying to do. Focused on non-minion usage. It's similar to what I'm running right now, only there's slight variations, and I'm actually going to make more changes to that one as I get better gear. But yes, so I did a tier 4 just now. Let me try a tier 5. Alright, I'm gonna mute my mic again. One other thing I forgot to add is, there was this YouTube video I was watching, I forget the name of it, but I'm pretty sure it can be easily looked up, that was explaining about nightmare dungeon keys and stuff like that, and the ideal tier level of enemy range. I believe in that was whatever your level minus 50, I believe is what was said in that video, is the ideal tier rank to use to do farming. So if it goes beyond, actually, let's see, my current level is 63, so I will not go beyond a tier 13 key. That will be my limit to my testing for now. This tier difficulty I'm running again because the last pylon I just picked up was an invulnerability. That's not a good accusation of whether I feel like, for my comfort level, if I can manage this tier difficulty or not. So I will be running this tier difficulty at least another time.
Need a word with you. Fence says the math doesn't add up right. Says she saw you skulking around the reserves last night. Says we're short 2 boxes of the good stuff. No need to worry. I know you'll make it right. And I know you'll come tell me exactly how. I'd hate to let you go. A wards like you, my friend. But they like fresh meat too. Think on that.
Right here, because I was able to notice it, I was wondering if that one glove that I had equipped made it so that a actual kamikaze skeleton would actually run up and spawn from that corpse to explode before the actual corpse caused the initial explosion. I noticed that it does, like that right now. I also noticed that corpse that exploded also caused the miasma, so that's actually a more interesting take than I thought about corpse explosion and what corpse explosion can do. I actually like it. So, in other words, when I cast that on a corpse, Kamikaze Skeleton will run in a random direction, explode, and cause a pool of miasma to form when it explodes. So it's not restricted to where the original corpse that I spawned that splitting skeleton in the first place. So that's actually quite useful. That might be quite beneficial to my setup.
Came apart nicely.
Wouldn't have made it without you.
That will surely be deadly. Service demands sacrifice.
That is now twice in a row that I ran into a situation where that was not really a good test for me because I grabbed his spark kill.
You're a saint.
And so in order to if I happen to have a tier key that is 2 levels above what I've been using right now, I'll use that key instead to try and gauge difficulty, because that was not a good test, in my opinion, to see if I could handle the tower in to unlock World War 4 on my own. So I'm gonna run a key that is, let's see, I'm running a tier 5 key right now, so if I happen to have a tier 7 key, I'll run that one instead. Otherwise, whatever the closest to that, I'll run that one. Maybe it will turn out and I'll eat my own words. Okay, so tier 9 it is. That's gonna be... Okay, tier 9 it is. I'm gonna be using that as a modifier, or a test, because the last 2 or 3 tier 6s that I ran with modifiers that I did not think was desirable for me as a true test to see if I could handle trying to unlock real tier 4. So I'm not running... so I'm going to run tier 9. I have tier 16 in my stash, but I'm not going to run that because that's actually too high for me right now. Okay, I think that was a pretty good demonstration of this build on how I run this build so far. Obviously I got some new items I picked up that I haven't even really paid attention to look at yet. I was just focused on trying to do the nightmare runs just to see what I can actually handle right now. So obviously I managed to do tier 9, so I'm gonna probably do couple more tier 9s on my own just to see if I can still get the same luck and feel confident about moving on beyond tier 9. If I do stream later on in the evening, that will probably be an attempt to try to do World 2 of 4 again on my own, if I'm lucky. But just a recap on everything for the most part. The long story short, I do corpse explosions that cause miasma, and one of my gauntlets allows it so that before it actually explodes, I spawn a kamikaze skeleton that, when on impact, will also cause miasma, so that actual miasma will be a wider range than I originally thought it was. My ice archers have the chance of causing my enemies to be vulnerable, and because of my equipment, every so often they'll be casting Blizzard on casting Blizzard. My Sever ability is another way for me to cast shadow damage on top of corpse explosion in case I don't have any corpses to run it. The corpse explosion. And then I'm running thorns so that anytime I get hit, they get dealt thorn damage back to them. I have a point so that I can move a little bit faster in the shadow tree, and then I have the blight skill so that I can double down on any darkness or shadow damage to cause even more shadow damage as a result. Every 10th hit, I believe it was. Let me double check just to be sure. Yeah, every 10th time I hit an enemy with shadow damage, there'll be a bonus damage on top of that. And Shadow Storm is my defense, but it also serves to pop the barrier in case I run into a situation where I'm stuck in the middle, trying to survive and dashing out of the situation. But yeah, that's the short version of it. If you want me to actually go into detail or see an updated version of this current build, I will do that at a later point in time if there is enough in the comments to say do a video on this, and then do a better gameplay loop on this on this build and what it can do. So as of right now, I'm naming it the Blizzard Shadow Boner because of the fact that I'm freezing exploding shadow boners. You did this, Blizzard. You made me come up with that name because of the RNG that you bestowed upon me, you righteous bastard. And I thank you for that. Take care now, and bye-bye then.